So this is an update episode I want to give. Bushiri, you remember there was a supposed message to Bushiri in December from one particular other prophet. That particular prophecy, I wanted to talk about it, and I want to add to what we spoke about previously. Yolanda Adams, you remember the gospel musician who in December came out saying that the church needs to chill out concerning God. God has multiple genders, is genderless. It was a very, very weird message that the so-called gospel musician, some of these people are planted in the church to cause confusion. Yolanda is starting to show her colors. Then also the Methodist Church story that we had yesterday. So those are the stories that I wanted to give update concerning, and let's get straight into that. So now, first off, you'll remember Bushiri. There was a so-called death prophecy that was spoken about last month, if you remember that one. Now, something happened in Zimbabwe very recently, and there's been, I'm guessing there's been people that have been posting one part of the story pertaining that. They were saying that Bushiri had died. Now, you know, all these Facebook pages on thingy, they will just go off into thingy. And so, as a result of that, that might have caused a bit of confusion. And the reason why we want to clarify pertaining that is because if you guys remember, on the last time when we spoke concerning this particular subject, I mentioned there is this tendency of just being busy, especially out here with supposed prophecies. So I saw a page that was clarifying that they were talking about a wrong Bushiri. The Bushiri that had passed away was not Bushiri thingy. This particular Bushiri is Frank Bushiri. I'm guessing he was a footballer, and this happened in Gweru in Zimbabwe. And so he was a footballer. Okay, is the gentleman down at the bottom. So that was not thing. Now, maybe this was made connection because if you listen to the prophecy of that man who was prophesying this, you'll realize that in his prophecy, he mentioned 2 attempts at this in this death prophecy. He mentioned that there was an attempt in Malawi, and then there was a second attempt in Zimbabwe. And so I was thinking maybe this is part of the reason why there might have been people who were posting that. And so that was not the case. You saw that Bushiri is not thingy. The car accident is a different thing. It's a different person. There's other people with that surname, Bushiri. Okay, and these footballers and so forth. I think I've heard of 2 different footballers who carry that name. And so that was not the case. Just to have clarity concerning that. Now, speaking of that prophecy, nothing of a sort, not the first attempt or the second attempt, that thing, unless he tells us that he misheard what he heard. But clearly there was no such a thing out here. Now, this also brings up the subject matter of, when you speak about mishearing, this brings up a subject matter about Yolanda. There's an article that was posted by MSN highlighting why I am disrespecting what God loves. Yolanda Adams calls the church to end homophobia. You'll remember not long ago, Yolanda Adams was saying that God has no genders. And I said, this is what people, when they are in falsehood, this is what they start by saying. Before you know it, they go to the extreme. They extend what they are saying by what they list out publicly. And so clearly, Yolanda has now shown exactly what I was talking about last times. Okay, she says that the gospel icon is using a platform to challenge the long-standing tradition of exclusion within the church in a powerful call for compassion. Madam, there's compassion and then there's doctrine. Yes, you get into your feelings telling us about compassion. Think doctrine first. She said, I sing and spoke over against homophobia and urge religious spaces to become truly a safe space. You want a safe space. The gospel makes it a safe space. You don't change the environment in which we are so that you can make it safe for you. So you are safe by comments. Ambali. Yolanda. Take your things. You can go start your own churches there. Go start your own churches, do your own things. But don't associate and try to bring those ideas into church. She says, Adam, this issue about theological debates about the fundamental way her family taught her in view of humanity. Excuse me, please. Your family might have taught you wrong. We don't know what they taught you. They might have taught you wrong. So if you are doing views of humanity, you can go and continue your views of humanity elsewhere, not in church. In church, we don't revolve, we don't change things as they stand. We keep them as they stand. And I'm going to skip that particular thing. She sounds ridiculous. She sounds silly. Outright silly. So these people would say, hey, microphone. You have problems with people. Constantly must be constantly. It's consistent. Now you have platform. Now you want to change the church. Your tendencies. Now this takes me on to the story concerning the church thing that you saw over there. So I did get someone who is from the church to explain what exactly the Scrabble is about. Now, there seem to be a little bit more than I was told pertaining this particular story. So what I'm saying here, it's not the full story still. I saw some people saying that there is a case and so forth, and those cases have not been resolved. And so you remember that the story says it comes from this pastor being installed to this particular church. Okay, the PEC 218, that the PE Circuit 218. Okay, so the issue starts when he is appointed, and it comes from after COVID. So it looks like it's not something that started now or something like that. It seems to be something that has been there for a while. Issue being what? The issue being that when the way this person explained it to me, okay, there's this other part. If I get clarity pertaining that part, then I'll come back and do the full breakdown. Here I'm just going to explain one particular part that actually goes towards the story. So the case part, I'm not clear on that part. I didn't get to ask them, but I had someone mentioning that. But anyways, so first of all, this thing stems from 2022, I think. That's when there was a replacement that was needed for that particular branch. Okay? And when they, according to this church, when they install a new person as the preacher or the person who is doing the preaching and all that kind of stuff, I'm guessing that the circuit, the particular branch, either request for a particular minister. If he's not available, maybe he will decline because he's appointed somewhere else. But if he's available, he then takes on the thing. Or the management branch suggests 3 people, which the branch then will then pick from those 3 people that have been put forward. This is what was explained. And so when he was put forward, according to what I was hearing, people didn't want him. Okay? So there might have been issues there. So might have been issues there pertaining him being appointed towards that particular circuit. For some people, there are people that might love him, of course, but then there are people that might object, that seem to object to him particularly, coming from that. But then it's not just that whole thing of him being selected and what, is that when he came, these particular circuits, they say they have fundraising goals. And these fundraising goals may be for different community, whether it be youth, abo mama, bemithandazo, you know, whatever they call the groups over there. And so those amounts that were raised within those groups, they say that allegedly he raised the numbers. Okay, he raised how much the goals were supposed to be, and this caused problems for many other people. And the person did explain that it's okay, it's normal for these numbers to rise because, you know, inflation, right? But it raises gradually. But the raising that was implemented was drastic. Okay, and so it has caused an issue from back then when he was appointed up until now. So now there seems to be people that were trying to get him removed. So this is the part where I'm saying this whole case. I'm not understanding if it's a case in court, or if it's a case where, if it's a report they made. So that part I didn't get to go through. Once I get that particular thingy, then maybe we'll do an update concerning that. But this seems to be where the issue stems from. It stems from the appointment for him. There were people that didn't like. Number two, the rules that he then came and implemented, there were people that object them. And this thing just continued. And so it's been brewing for a while to a point where it is right now. And so it seems to be something that has been long-standing for a while. It's not just something we are seeing right now on social media. But if there is any particular other update, I'll then give you. Particularly that case part, the person didn't have enough time to explain it to me. And so when there is time, then maybe on the next update, do look out for that. I'll then explain if there is something there or if it was just something. I did hear that raised, that there was some type of a report or something that was made to try, and I don't know if they're trying to get him to remove him, or if they're objecting to thingy, or it's just not happening, or the people that kind of elect these people are just kind of ignoring the situation, which seems to be the case from what you read on the previous episode. So that's the case there. All right, that seems to be the case over there, just in case you needed clarity pertaining all those things. Now, once I get that clarity on that part, what is it? Is it a report? Where is it sent? There's some other parts I didn't understand about the, but once I have the clarity pertaining that, then whether my questions were whether he gets assistant pastors, or when he's elected by himself. You know, kind of like what AFM does. AFM appoints one particular pastor. He may have other pastors there, but they put one pastor over thing. And that pastor might stay at a mission house or at a rented place or whatnot, and then they appoint the pastor there. So I didn't get clarity on that yet, or how to understand the strategy, because churches differ from different churches. And so that's the case that they are dealing with over there. It's tricky. Other episodes will be down in the pinned comments. Hope you have a little bit more clarity concerning that. And so the police there, they probably were there to kind of calm the situation between the people that were opposing at the back and them starting to protest. Because it looks like the service did continue, which means that the police, and of course, there were people that were saying it's not an arrest. And I'm like, hey, who said arrest? I said the pastor was removed from the pulpit from the beginning of the episode. That's what I mentioned. And so they removed him from the pulpit to get clarity on these particular issues. And I'm guessing then they maybe removed the people that were in disagreement. And so that's the case. They were not there to disrupt the thing. They were there to stop the chaos that had arisen by that period. All right. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you on a later on episode.